Ladies and gentlemen, yes, we are getting 2 videos in 2 days. I'm just having this cozy feeling of playing old school RuneScape at the moment. We're doing streams on Twitch, which by the way, I'm likely streaming and talking about Raids 3 right now. So join us, twitch.tv Kriibus, and let's discuss it together. We're doing videos on YouTube, life is great. And yesterday, it was even greater when Jagex did the oopsie doopsie Daisy Lucy and accidentally leaked almost everything about Raids 3. Yep, I don't think that video was meant to go out before the release day, or at the very least close to it, but here we are. So let's go through all of it, every single detail, and see what we can find. Oh, I am excited. Thank you Papa Jaggy Baggy for leaking stuff, that makes me happy. Some intern is gonna have a heart attack going to work on Monday. Okay, let's get started. So first I wanna show you the entire clip. It's about 15 seconds long and then we'll break it down. Hit it. Ooh, I am like a caveman discovering fire right now, ooga booga. Okay, so let's take it from the beginning. First up, as you saw, there was a lot of Serpentine Helm in the video, and I mean a lot. And guess what happened to Serp Helm? Yep, it raised 2 million GP overnight. Like the Helm used to be 3.7 million GP about a few weeks ago, and today, if you go look at the GE, you can't buy one unless you cough up almost 7 million GP. And I guarantee you, it will keep rising and rising. And there was like other items in there as well, at least with the previous bosses, they used like super random gear to showcase promo videos. Like when Nightmare came out, they used Twisted Bow on the Nightmare, even though like it has plus 600 range bonus. So you can't kill Nightmare with Twisted Bow. So it kinda threw people off, which is nice. But enough about that, let's talk about the mechanics. First we have Aka's room, where... Okay, let me stop you right there. We get what we get, okay? The pictures are kinda scuffed and blocking half the screen, but it's like we might as well go all in with the magnifier glass and spec every possible pixel to take the sweatiness to the maximum. It's that simple. So I already talked about Aka's room in my previous video, where it kinda looked like a puzzle type of thing, and it got confirmed here. Essentially all of these pillars are going up and down, and some of them you can interact with, aka use your pickaxe for instance to direct the light into the correct spot, which is in the middle of the room. So the statue is holding the light, there are mirrors all around the room, breakable walls, and you have to direct the light from this guy to this pillar in the middle. Or maybe the other guy who is holding the shield. And once you do that, as you can see on the first screen, the pillar or the guy comes alive and players are fighting it. It does look like they are using melee to fight it. The HP bar is completely different compared to your normal bar, and all of the players in the room are using new best in slot stab weapon, which could hint at this pillar being weak to stab. If you didn't know how Raids 3 is gonna work, essentially you're gonna have 4 demi bosses, and once you kill all 4 demi bosses, you will have access to the lower levels of tombs where you can kill the final boss. But before you get to those demi bosses, you have to complete rooms for each demi-boss. So for instance, the room with the pillars you saw before, that is a room you have to complete before you get to Akka, one of the demi-bosses. Now the next clip from leaked footage is room you have to complete before you get to the demi-boss called Seabuck. This room reminds me of Hallowed Sepulchre, but with poison? Similar obstacles, similar pathing. You have to retrieve something from the side of the room, which is here, go through this obstacle and back to the middle. That's why people are likely buying Serpentine's Helm for such a high price. It could also be Venom, although thematically that doesn't make much sense, but we'll leave it at that. You can see from the behind where the next poison trail is gonna show up, and also you have these black spikes that shoot out at set intervals, just like the flaming balls in Hallowed Sepulchre. Once you finish that room, you are here in one of the demi-bosses we talked about, Seabuck. And my first instinct when I saw this picture is that the same thing also happens in Dragon's Lair 2 and Kingdom Divided, where the player has one available square to go through the waves, and if they miss it, they get hit with a lot of damage. Also, we can see players using Protect from range and using crossbows and Twisted Bows to kill Seabuck, so I'm guessing range is the way to go here. And Seabuck is firing some sort of projectile, which I assume looks like a bomb that you have to dodge out. One assumption I read was that it could split into multiple parts and act as a freeze mechanic, so you can't dodge out of the next wave. And the only way to break that freeze mechanic is with like, I don't know, fire spells or something similar to that. And last but not least, there are poison tiles on the ground, and since the previous room had something to do with poison as well, we could assume that Seabuck has a poison mechanic added in. Hide your Serp Helms, hide your anti-venoms, because they're gonna go up in price a lot. Next up we have Baba. Now before you can reach Baba, you have to complete this room. Now the first thing I see from this scuffed picture is the 3 colors of monkeys. Blue monkeys, which I assume are magic variant, red monkeys, which I assume are melee, and then we have this gray, brownish, purple monkeys, which, well, it's gonna be ranged. Shocking, I know. There are also these acid pools on the ground, which makes me wonder, not even poison, but maybe venom? We also see banana peels, we see everyone protecting from magic. If you look at this concept art picture, this is how the room should look like, right? So we had these walls where I assume the 3 colored monkeys are coming out. Maybe the monkeys are protecting something, maybe it's just to survive as long as possible room. What's interesting is that on the concept art, there are blocked holes, but on the footage, we see the same hole being broken and the monkeys are coming through it. So let's say you're good enough to pass the monkey survival mode room. Yeah, survival mode. I'll call it that until I figure out a better name. You are met with Baba. Now in the concept art, this room looks more in, how do I put this, in depth? If you look at the concept art, it looks like there are multiple levels to it, but if you look at the leaked footage, it looks a lot more flat. Maybe it's just a perspective issue. First thing I see is the fireballs you see during Tecton in Raids 1, where essentially you have to dodge out in 3x3 square or 2x2. Second thing I see is the rolling balls on the concept art, but they are going the opposite direction, if that makes sense. Like on the test footage, they seem to be rolling towards the pile of the trash upstairs, but on the concept art, they seem to be rolling down. I don't know, maybe it's just another perspective thing. Other than that, we see the Ruby Jewel on Baba, which indicates the jewel you can use on Kerry's Partisan. Players are all using Protect from melee and also using melee to kill Baba. Okay, next up we have Akka. Now I already showcased the room before Akka, where you have to direct the light puzzle, and once you finish that room, you are here. At first look, this is very overwhelming to say the least, but I guarantee you there will be some very specific patterns where once you understand it, it becomes really easy. First things first, if you look at this picture, it seems very similar to the Nightmare boss, where you have some quadrants of the map filled with special attack, and players have to stand on the right tiles in order to not take damage. The second thing I see is there are multiple variants of Akka. So if you look at this picture, there is this real Akka, and then there are maybe like glass crystal versions of it. Maybe it acts kinda like a mimic where you have to kill the right version. In any case, you can also see Akka is playing melee and range on the picture, meaning you can only damage it with magic. Also I assume he can swap those prayers, so you have to bring in all 3 different combat styles. And last but not least, we have the dung beetle called Kefri. Let's start the room beforehand. Before the leaks came out, we had 0 information on this room, but now thanks to someone messing up, I can spend my entire afternoon not being a normal human being and instead studying this meaningless puzzle. Yay! It looks like 4-part puzzle, and I think every player has their role here. You can see some scarabs at the corner of the room, which we will also see in the Kefri's room later on. The tiles that are lighting up look very similar to Hallowed Sepulchre, and it looks like the scarabs are walking from this direction to this direction. Also, the players are praying range, so I assume while you are solving the puzzle, there are some projectiles shooting out. Not much is known about this room. If you have any information about any of this, please let me know in the comments. I need to know everything about Raids 3, okay? It's like an obsession that I'm not proud of. And we get to Kefri itself. Now the mechanics of Kefri are as follow. A shield which doesn't allow you to attack Kefri. We also see the scarabs. That's why I said in my previous video that having Kerry's Partisan in your inventory before you enter the tombs is absolutely mandatory. It has amazing effects against scarabs and fights and special attacks. We also see the big swarms, which I assume will kind of work like the harpy bug swarm in the jungle, where they just do low damage rapid attacks. We also see a big projectile, which I assume hits, well, a lot. Kinda like Calvec attack, kinda like Warcat attack. Now before we end off, this is how you can kinda practice for Rage 3. If you've never done Hallowed Sepulchre, now is a good time to learn that. There seems to be a lot of floor obstacles, courses, whatever you wanna call it, that you also see in Agility Arena. Next up we have Invocations, which honestly deserves its own video as there is so much to cover about this, since a mechanic like this has never been seen before in old school RuneScape. But in short summary, you can make your raid as hard as you want it to be, and that will also give you less or more rewards depending on how hard you're going. That also means you might get different levels of obstacles throughout the raids, so some of the things I talked about in this video might not appear to you if you choose the easiest version. There are a lot of reused assets like the Calvec Fireballs, Calvec Waves, Hallowed Sepulchre Diasol mechanics from Nightmare, the Nihilo Room, and so on, which isn't technically bad as you can just put your own twist to it and make it feel more alive, and it also gives players the option to explore other bosses as well and help them along the way. And that's about it. That is it. Let me know in the comments what you think. Is there something I missed? I will be talking about Rage 3 religiously on my stream almost every day. If you wish to join and discuss it with us, feel free to stop by twitch.tv/Kriibus. And I'll see you guys in a few days with another video. Okay, I love you. Bye. Mwah.